All right, cool. Thank you, Krista, and thank you, Brianna. I'm going to go straight to the slideshow. Let me do the old share screen here. Thanks for everyone for coming. And we should be able to do this here in just a second. Technology. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. If anyone can't see the screen share, just let me know in the chat, and I'll make sure that I fix it. But my name is Daniel Lozada, and I'm a photographer based in Cleveland, Ohio, also born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So with Waves is just kind of a bit of a sub-series of a larger series. But as far as my background, I was always interested in photography, and I always grew up using my parents' Polaroids, and then getting into high school, always having a disposable camera with me, just taking photos of me and my friends, or kind of hijacking my parents' camcorders to just record and make movies of just me and my friends being silly, I guess. And in 2011, I purchased my first digital camera. I didn't go to school for photography, and it pretty much for almost 10 years, I was just, as I say in the slide here, just kind of lost in the desert until the 2020 pandemic. And not being educated, it was just like really difficult trying to find a lane and a way to just make what I love to be a profession. And since 2021 April, I've been a full-time independent photographer that can actually like make a sustainable living. And as far as like, what do I photograph? Usually it just has anything to do with people, photojournalism, commercial work, editorial, studio, location work, hobbies, still photography. Never really am not kind of like thinking about photography, collecting photo books, YouTube tutorials, just other photographers who put like content out there for learning, and just analog photography. So as far as Waves, I might be answering some questions that people might have during this presentation, but so why this series? Unlike other densely populated cities, Cleveland, like the majority of US cities, has like little pockets of population spread across the city. It's not as densely populated as cities like New York or Chicago or LA might be. So instead of walking out the door and just bumping into, 30,000 plus people on a daily walk, probably within just like a couple hours, I had to go where the people were in Cleveland. And as a result of that, like where the people were was Edgewater State Park. And the reason why I chose that, other than the dense population that goes to Edgewater, it's close to where I live. It's easily a very diverse place. Find all different kinds of people, and it's almost like, well, I won't say shooting fish out barrel, but I'll say photographing fish in a barrel. As far as the inspirations for my public work, also, might be known as like street photography, or however you know it as. Joel Meyerowitz, William Eggleston, Daniel Arnold, Sina Nazari, Miles Hendrick, Platon, who's known for his portrait work, but he has an awesome series where he goes to his home country of Greece and documents. You'll see a shot from that in the next slide. And Fred Herzog. So as far as those inspirations, I have a couple photo books that I can share. And some of these are photo books of some people on this list, and others might not be. But so we've got Barry Lewis. This is his Miami Beach series. I got this at half price books. So if you ever are looking for great photo books, coffee table books, half price books is the place to go. I like this book because it's Miami Beach in black and white, and usually you don't really see Miami Beach in black and white because it's a very colorful place, and this photographer just really would just like stop people and capture people just in the street of Miami, and it's just very eclectic, very cool, very interesting, and yeah, kind of wacky. So here's a good one of a dog just chilling in a car with a surfboard. The next book here is of Daniel Arnold, and he's the third on the list of my inspiration. This one's called Pickpocket. I bought this when I was in New York last year, and he was just doing a pop-up book signing. So I just went and checked out, bought a copy. So he's probably like the largest kind of inspo for like the style that I have when I'm at the beach, of just kind of walking, snapping, really not stopping your stride, and continue walking until you find something else that interests you. This next person is not on the list, but this is called Florida Strawberries by Anthony Blasco. See that there. So there's a festival in Florida called the Strawberry Festival, and he just hangs out there, photographs people, just enjoying it, and just kind of subtle life happenings down there. And it seems like he's always photographing in the same quality of light, which is golden hour. And so it's a really cool book. And Fred Herzog, who took the photo that's currently on your screen. This is kind of one of my favorite books to flip through. It's just kind of a collection of his best work, and he just captured people in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and just people living their life. And that's a neat one. You can find that one on Amazon. And then this is Joel Meyerowitz, who I guess some would credit to be kind of one of the godfathers of street photography, I guess. This is his beach series that kind of just came out of his larger work. And this one I got at half price books too, but a lot of really cool photos here. Little boy and strawberries, this is someone looking out in the water, and this, I didn't notice it till now, but that is reminds me of one of the photos that I took that you'll see here too. Something about people just looking out into water and photographing them from behind is I don't know, something I'm always drawn to. Maybe it's because they don't see me and it's like less confrontational, but so here's a couple of photos from the people on that list. Joel Meyerowitz top right, William Eggleston underneath that, Daniel Arnold, Sina Nazari photographed. I think that's called like the Shrek Festival. I believe that's in New York, where people just dress up in green and they call it the Shrek Festival. Miles Hendrick, yeah, I really enjoy his photography. He is sent out to photograph just like celebrity parties, and it's an interesting look at that world in a very candid way. And then in the bottom right corner, we have the Platon, one of his photos from his Greece series. And if you want to be like inspired by photography, he has a document, like a 50-minute documentary about his work and his life on Netflix through the show called Abstract. And it's in season 1. It's one of my favorite rewatchable shows on Netflix. As far as waves, it stems, like I said, from a long-term project, but has the same voice and outlook. It's a feeling of being moved by people, as I myself like move through the currents and waves of a public arena, and things will stop us all in our tracks and cause us to smile or laugh or be confused or, react in some sort of way. And I just want to do what I can to photograph those moments and not let those pass by. As far as the process of going out into the wild and just photographing people I do not know and might not ever encounter ever again, fear does play a big role into it. Fear, panic, anxiety, it's a strange feeling to like put yourself out there like that, and taking your camera to a public space and photographing the strangers. And the goal is to have a winning percentage of times I overcome that fear and snap the photo. And I think of it as baseball season just started, just having a good batting average. So, if a baseball player is shooting, or not shooting, but like hitting 300, that means every 10 times he steps up to the plate, he gets a hit 3 times out of 10. And that normally isn't a like viewed as, if you just say 3 out of 10, you're doing something good. That's not like a high percentage in a lot of areas of life. But I think I apply that to photos too, where if you just take the chance, you just build up on that and build the momentum. As far as time, yeah, it takes a lot of time and patience each time I go out there, and being open to what I'll see and people around me, having like a body language of don't talk to me, or something that's like really closed off is not like, that's not the way that you want to approach it if you're trying to get, interesting photos, photos that make you feel something, because then you're bringing like tension into that person's space, and they might not, feel comfortable with you taking their picture, or might ask questions, or a kind of confrontation might come out after the fact. But yeah, if something doesn't interest me, I won't take the picture just to say I took a picture that day. So a lot of times I'll, be walking around for a few hours, and really nothing's going on. There's nothing that's interesting me too much, but I just keep doing it and just wait and see if something does happen. Because if by chance I get like one really good photo that I'm happy with, cool. But I don't need to take a photo every time. That's not necessarily a goal. The goal is just to kind of go and be present and just wait, kind of like fishing, where you're just kind of waiting for a catch. And sometimes you might not have a catch that day. As far as why did I choose film for this project? It's just like a lot of my personal work, I'll I'll shoot on film if I can, and if I can afford it, or if I feel like it's worth it, and I can do like a long form project like this one. Um, I feel like having a digital camera, I feel like a lot of people can spot a digital camera when they see it. And I feel like it kind of like drives a little bit of like a boundary between me and like the people that I photograph. So I just decided to do it on film. And a lot of times that draws like more people to me because they're curious about the camera that I use. And it's a camera that, they might not be used to seeing. So then, if I'm passing people, I'll hear whispers where they say like, "Oh, did you see like that camera? That's like interesting." Or people straight up just approach me and ask me about my camera, and we'll have a short interaction, and I'll probably take their photo after that. And then I do have some people coming up to me sometimes and saying, "Oh, take my picture, take my picture." And sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll pretend to take the picture because maybe I only have like so much film left that I need to like conserve it. But because it's digital, I don't have to show them a back of a screen, so that kind of saves me there. But as far as the cameras that I use, I tend to use medium format is what a lot of like more of my favorite photos come from, just because they get more detail, and it just looks more, I don't know, realistic, lifelike, or tangible. And then some 35 millimeter point and shoots, some rangefinders, and I guess I can show those to you guys now. So this photo that's currently on the screen with the father and daughter, this was taken with this camera. Let me make sure that I can see myself on the video too, so I know I'm holding it up. So this is the Fuji GA 645. This is kind of like a point and shoot medium format camera. So it measures everything for me. So that way it's like allows me to operate more quickly, which is how it's able to get this photo. And then the next one, which is like a square format camera from the 60s. This is probably the camera that draws the most people to me. And it's the Yashica 635. So it's a twin lens camera where it focuses out of the top lens and then takes the photo through the bottom one. And then I look through this viewfinder right here so I can like see and focus. And the view of the mirror is, it's not like I'm moving my hand right, but on this, it looks like it's going left. So it's not like a mirrored image. It's kind of weird. So you have to like train your brain that like left is right and right is left when you're looking through it and trying to focus and compose, which is also kind of like a good little brain exercise. When I'm out there, I feel like it's kind of solving a lot of puzzles and crossword like puzzles and stuff at the same time. This is what I shot a couple things towards the end of last season. It's just like my rangefinder 35 millimeter Leica camera. So I'm going to use a lot of this season, just because it'll allow me to be a lot quicker as far as like taking photos and not having to worry about like an autofocus system. So I'm excited for that. And then the little pocket size cameras that I've used this project on, the main photo in the wave series that you saw in the beginning was shot on this camera on the pier with the father holding the son. It's just a Yashica T4 point and shoot. It hard to see, but this kind of has like a little viewing window, just like the previous camera, where you can see like an image. So if I wanted to shoot from the hip and kind of be discreet, I can do that without putting it like up to my eye. I can kind of just like look at it. And I think that's what I did with that title photo for this series. And then this camera is the Ricoh GR1S, and this one's very slim and just fits in my back pocket or front pocket very easily. So it's very compact, and this one has a 28mm lens. So I don't really use this too much when I'm out at the beach, but if I'm at like an event, like an indoor event, or there's a place called Sense Pizza that sometimes has like DJ sets. So when I was there, I was using this a lot because I can get more of the scene and still get close to people. And then this last one is the Nikon 35 Ti, and this is kind of a little bit more like bulky, but it does really well in low light, focuses really easy. I used this at the museum a couple times with some of their mixes and nighttime events, and it's worked well for me. At the beach too, you'll see a photo of a little boy in a red car, and I took this on this camera as well. So with that, I'll move on with the slideshow. So how do I do it? Like when I just show up at the beach, and I've had some people join me. I think one of them, my friend Shelly, who's attending this talk, has went with me a few times, and she'll attest to this, that I kind of just stand at the edge of the concrete like path right before it just like merges with the sand, and I just kind of scan I guess like the population on the beach, just to see if there's any like overall like colors or people that might stand out to me. And if not, then I'll just start with the shore and then just kind of go all the way down, and then kind of like maze through on the way back and see, and just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And then I'll go to the other side by the willow tree and then towards the pier. And I just repeat that over and over, and just cover all the ground down there. And yeah, and then someone piques my interest, or maybe they're covered in tattoos, or maybe they're extremely hairy, and it's just something that again like makes you look. You're like, whoa, that's not something you see every day. I might start the process of, okay, how am I going to take the photo? Am I going to just like ask them if I can take their photo, or just take it? A lot of times I just take it. And a lot of times people don't realize that their photo is being taken. And sometimes there's like, certain people aren't comfortable with that, photographers. I am. It's just whatever, it's a public space. So I think people, if they want to say something or take legal action, there's really nothing that they can do because it is a public space. So you just have to be comfortable with whatever your process is. Or like the photo with the kids drinking the water, they were just like goofing around and having fun and just being silly. So I just figured I would stop and take that photo. That one was taken with the Yashica twin lens camera. So this one's like a little bit of a slower process, but I'm trying to make it kind of like a viable street camera, which is not very common, but like people like Vivian Mayer were able to do that. Confrontations, I haven't had any confrontations whatsoever as of yet. But tension isn't necessarily like a bad thing. I always think like if someone's, kind of getting like a little hot and bothered and having some words with me, like that emotion within itself is worthy of taking a photo of them. So I feel like if one day someone were to, not be very happy with me and they're visibly showing like some sort of like anger, I'll assess like the situation and think like, okay, well, if I took a photo of them right now in this kind of like angry state, will it potentially mean that I will have to succumb to physical harm or not. And if not, then I'll probably still take their picture, and it would just be like an interesting moment on camera. And as far as like the kit that I have, when I go out and do this kind of stuff, I'll probably have like 3 cameras max, but usually it's only 2. I'll have a camera on a strap like around my neck, and then I'll have one just always like in my hand. And then if I have 3, then I'll have like another one in like a fanny pack that I just like have around my waist. And then as far as other essentials that I'll usually be in, so if you're in Edgewater and you see somebody with a lot of these things, it could be me. Sunscreen, fanny pack, and a big like straw sun hat just to like block the sun. And I'm always in kind of like, for the most part, in like a long sleeve shirt, just because it's just like cooling and breathable. Like the one I have, it's just kind of like I don't know, like a fishing shirt or something. So like the material itself is like sun blocking and also cooling at the same time, even on like a 100-degree weather day. It's interesting. And so now I'll just go through a couple of the photos and just talk about these. So this one was, I think it was definitely, he's wearing a sweater. So this is either in like September or October, on maybe like a little bit of a warm day at Edgewater. As really no one was on the beach, and this guy, you know, he just seemed like he was lost in thought. This is right before, I think, a lady asked me to take a video of her spreading her dog's ashes on my phone because her phone died. So she needed someone to take a video and then send her the video. So that was an interesting evening. Very strange, unexpected, but I knew when I was taking this photo that I was really going to like it, just because it just looks very thoughtful, and you're just trying to get inside his head and like what he's thinking. And I can never figure it out. And I think that's why I like it too. And then you see like the straight horizon, which I don't think I shot it that straight, but I just fixed it in post on like Photoshop, and it was taken with this rangefinder, the Leica rangefinder here, on a 50mm lens, I think, for the people who are interested in gear. And next one, okay, so this is the title image. This one was the one where I took on the Yashica point and shoot, where I used the auto scope here, where, hold on, let me do it again, where, yeah, you can see, like, use it as a hip camera. Yeah, I was on the pier just kind of hanging out again, just had a camera with me, wasn't necessarily like hunting for a picture, but you know, I have it just in case something does come up. And yeah, I just saw the father, you know, pick his boy up, and thought this cool. And he's like pointing, kept like trying to show him some, and then, you know, just saw in the foreground also like the woman just playing the other kid's hair. And I don't remember if she was like fixing the braid or whatever, but I just thought, I was like, oh wait, I can like frame the father and the son quickly, like between like these two people. And hopefully it came out, and it did. And I really like this image. It's probably like one of my favorite images I took, and it happened really fast. And when you do stuff like this, it's like you have to make split-second decisions of just take the picture, don't worry about it. Smiles are very disarming, you know, especially when you're taking photos of like families. You know, they might feel like protective, but you know, if you just kind of like, your body language just emits kind of like a non-threatening thing, and just smile at them if they look at you, and maybe just like compliment them on something, or say like, yeah, I just thought this was like a really cool moment, you guys look really photo worthy, or whatever. So split-second decisions are not easy ones to make, but if you're trying to take photos, it's like sometimes you don't have time to really think about being afraid, so you just have to do it. And I've definitely not taken photos that I was like nervous to take too, so it happens to everyone. This one on the twin lens camera again, And I really don't remember taking this photo necessarily, or like what I was thinking, but when I look at it, I feel like I'm thinking the same thing, where it just looks like it might be like a brother or sister or babysitter like situation, and the little boy was just kind of, I don't know, just letting his toes get wet as like the water was coming up onto the shore. So I just thought it was a cool moment. I like their colors. I like the color of the sand, water, sky, and then just the colors of their um, clothing. I thought went really well, and then her red hair popped really well too. So I just posted up and carefully focused and took that photo. Next one. So you'll see like a theme of like a lot of photographing people from behind. Again, it's just like an easy way to kind of avoid confrontation, but it's also kind of like you're seeing something from like their perspective, or maybe it has something to do with like video games, where it's like a lot of times, it's not that I play video games, but you know, I think in my generation with like PlayStation and all that in the 90s and Sega and Nintendo, when you have a character and you just see like the back of their head, or you're driving the car and like in the game you just see the car, and it's always kind of like that perspective. And I think that's kind of like, it feels like you're in the driver's seat a little bit and you're kind of seeing from their perspective. So this one was kind of by the dog park end of the beach, because that's where a lot of people like to pull their boats in really close. And it was a young couple, and if you look down by his knees, like the girl is sitting against his legs in the water, and he's just kind of like playing with her hair, and his shirt says love never fails, I believe. And so I saw that, and I just had to get in them. They were like pretty far into the water, and I had this camera, and it doesn't reach like very far. So I had to kind of creep into the water and just like slowly kind of make my way close to them to where I feel comfortable enough to like take the photo. And I just like the reflection of the sun on the water, and then them framed between like the boats and stuff, and just capturing that moment between like two young lovers, I guess, was kind of cool. This one was just a father, you know, and his kid, and assuming maybe it's the kid's first time at the beach, or one of the first times at the beach, and it was just a wholesome moment. So I just had to, again, quickly just set up and take the photo. And I don't think he noticed that I was that close and that I took the photo, but like the kid's mom was like, "Oh, they just took your photo," but not in a hostile way. It was just kind of like, "Oh, that was cute that they just took your photo." This one is not in the Waves series that's hanging on the wall, but it is like one of my favorite photos. So now the next few photos that you see are just photos that from the beach that I like, that aren't necessarily hanging up at Shaker Historical Society. But this woman, around close to sunset on the beach, just had her daughter wrapped up in a towel. She was keeping her warm, drying her off, and they were both just looking out into the sun, which again was like very wholesome and definitely like worthy of a photo. I screwed up the first photo and I had to take a second one. So I took it on this camera, and it's very easy to accidentally take like double exposures on this camera, because if you don't wind the photo after each photo that you take, then you could be taking a photo on top of the previous photo that you just took. And that's what happened. And I realized that's what happened probably about like 5 minutes after I started like walking further down the beach, and realized that I'm gonna have to like go back to her and do this again, because it was too good of a moment not to retake. And so I just approached her once again, and said like, "Hey, I just screwed this up. Can we redo it?" And she was cool with it. And as you can see, the little girl was cool with it too. She's just smiling at nothing in particular. But this is also like one of my favorites here, just because it was a cool moment. And I did send this photo to her afterwards. I got her email, so she also was happy with it too. Okay, here's the red car photo that I was talking about earlier, and it was taken on this camera. And I was just walking again, doing my rounds, and I saw this kid driving up on the bike path with his cool red car. And one of my first thoughts when I see kids in public with these cool electronic cars is jealousy, because I wish I would have had one of these when I was a kid. And then I was getting ready to take his photo, and I was trying to like walk really fast to like, by the time we like cross paths and just set up and be ready. And it just happened to work out that his car, it didn't break down, but he got stuck in the sand. And so he's looking back at the tire, and at the same time, like pressing the gas, and like all the wheels are moving except for his back tire that he's looking at. And I thought it was like really funny, because he's just kind of having like car trouble at the beach. And so I just ran over, set the picture up, and took it. And then I lifted the back of his car and set him back like on the right track. And his mom was following like maybe like 30, 40 feet behind. But I just thought that was like a really funny moment to capture too. And this one, so like with beach photos, it's really easy and cool to take photos of the beach, because it's easier, I guess, in a way to how do I say it, like without being cliche. Okay, like people like to say like they like taking timeless photos, and that means there's really nothing to tie a photo to a particular year. So there's like a lot of time with like clothing and branding. You see like, okay, that was really hot from like this year to this year, so I can kind of like tell what year this is in. And with these like two boys that were like running on the rocks, one, I noticed that they were wearing the same exact kind of shorts or swimming trunks. So I thought that was cool. The three stripes, whether they're Adidas or whatever, it's just kind of like a classic look without kind of tying it to a specific brand per se. And yeah, this one, I mean, you could say this was taken in the 90s, 80s, 2010s, whatever. I think it just like works really well. And just brothers having fun is just a cool photo to take, and just climbing on the rocks. And, if I was a kid doing that, I probably would have been playing a game thinking I was like somewhere else, like maybe like some sort of like Jurassic Park game or something. I don't know. I'm weird. Maybe these kids are weird like me. So I figured I'd take a picture. More father-son moments. It's just something that I feel like it's worth capturing, especially when it's like fathers and sons of Black and Brown communities, because a lot of the stereotypical tropes is that fathers are not present in the lives of the children. And so when I see that at a beach, it's like almost like an automatic, where it's like, okay, I'm going to take this photo, because I feel like the more that you share things that go against stereotypes, I guess like the more you're educating people and showing people like a positive side of that, rather than what like negative predispositions like they might have. And this was a hopping day on the beach, because you can see all the people on the shore too. But I thought that was cute. Like some of my favorite photos of myself are when my brother takes photos of me and my young nieces just kind of hand in hand walking or doing stuff. So, and I don't even notice when he's doing it too. So I always appreciate it, and I'm drawn to that. This one, you can't really see it, but yeah, some of these people like sitting on the rocks were a little bit like suspicious of like why I was like on the rocks taking their photo like that. But it looked kind of like a painting to me, the way that they're all kind of spaced out and composed and posed in general. Like with this kid here, just kind of knee up, arm on the knee, you know, her facing the opposite direction, straight on, angled out, straight on, angled this way, angled straight like north, and I don't know, it felt like almost like a painting to me. So I figured I would take that and deal with whatever social tension that might have come, but no one ended up saying anything. They just kind of looked a little upset or furrowed their brows in confusion, maybe, I don't know, but I was fine. So that was one of those moments where it's like, okay, I know it's gonna be weird because there's no way, like going on the rocks with the camera, there's no way that they don't know like what I'm about to do. So rather get the photo than not, I guess. Yeah, and then this one is not a beach, but it's another kind of same approach to the beach. Whereas at the Cleveland Museum of Art, one of their mixers for the Black Vanguard fashion exhibit that came out last year in May or end of May. And it's just the dance floor, and there's nothing, you know, easier than taking dance floor photos of people having a good time, because they really don't care, you know, if someone's taking their photo, because they're kind of in their own zone. And a particular song came on, and that's when I knew I had to like weave through the crowd, because I knew people were gonna be really into the song and start dancing and stuff. So I had to just go ahead and do it. And this was shot on the Nikon point and shoot camera. And I like when there's like low light or a dark setting and there's always constant light, you know, you see the constant light on the balcony above here, and there was more coming from the DJ set, and then so it just has the cool shutter drag. You'll see some more of that here in the next few photos, but yeah, showing that motion just kind of like adds to that feeling of what it felt like in person for these people and for me, just having a good time, and their inhibitions were down, and just showing fun, I guess, joy. Same thing, this is like a rooftop concert a couple years ago, and going for the same thing where slow shutter drag, and with the sun just, I think, set, and it's a cool gradient in the sky, and then you have again like the stage lights and everything. It was just like really cool. And one thing that I really tried to not care about anymore is just clear photos and like focus sharp, tack sharp photos. I don't think you need that to take a good photo, and sometimes you can even attempt to try to not get that, and in certain situations, and it'll still work for you if it's like an interesting composition and setting, I guess. Same thing for this one. This is probably like the first time it was an accident. This was the 2019 Cleveland Museum of Art solstice party, and I just had a point and shoot, and I was just walking through the crowd as they were dancing to a really great band from Colombia. They were just playing amazing music, really getting people moving and grooving. And I just kept walking through the crowd without stopping. I would take a photo and just keep moving. And I didn't realize that it would do stuff like this, but this is when I realized that, oh, okay, like an event, nighttime event, where there's music and constant lights and everything like that, I think it could get some really like neat, interesting photos. So once I got this rolled back, that's when it kind of clicked where, okay, cool. Like I don't have to worry about, you know, getting tech sharp photos. You can still get like really unique, interesting photos there. I think that might be the last one. So yeah, this is the old Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, or however else we're doing it. But I will stop or maybe I won't stop the sharing. Maybe I'll keep it up in case someone wants me to go back to a certain like photo or something like that. But for now, I can keep. Yep. Is that Tom or Jerry? I always mix them up. That might be Jerry. I don't know. But we'll see.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, so if anyone wants to unmute to ask any questions, feel free. If not, you can also put them in the chat. While people are thinking of I have a question. I guess,
Sure.
so I know in your bio, you talk a little bit about that you've also worked with national news outlets. Do you have like a particular story that's like one of your favorite projects you've worked on, or like anything that really is a really cool, unique experience?
I'm not good at like on the spot thinking, like going through, because I think like since I started getting those assignments, it's been like maybe like close to 30 assignments, and it's really hard to think about that. Let's see. Like doing long COVID stories. That was really interesting and unique. I got to talk to the doctors at UH hospitals and just have that learning experience, and then also photograph. There's one story where I also had to like photograph the patients of long COVID in children specifically. So there's like I had like a young boy who's like 4, and at the same time a high school basketball prospect, and they were both going to the same doctor, experiencing same issues with like long COVID, and photographing the doctor, and then the next day photographing those 2 patients was a really unique experience. And you get to see kind of like the things that you hear and see on the news, but then you get to kind of also like almost like interview the people part of it too, and just kind of converse with them. What else? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I had someone call the cops on me one time while I was out doing an assignment. Ran into a real life Karen, and that was interesting. And at that point, like it's this whole story, but like she was trying to like humiliate me and do all this stuff, and I was just like doing my job and standing up for myself, continuing even after the fact that it was over. And I thought that I wasn't gonna like get an assignment with the New York Times ever again after that. But luckily I still did, and even specifically from that photo editor who hired me for that. So a lot of interesting people from like all walks of life. I followed the COVID, like a story about COVID vaccine in children before that came out. And, I followed from like the beginning process of parents who were signing up their children to be a part of the, like the testing program where you either get like the real vaccine, or it's like a placebo, and it's like a controlled, I guess, study. And so I got to follow that from like being in like the rooms where with the children getting their blood drawn and all that stuff, and then going to the actual like chemistry labs where they like make the concoction stuff like that all in one day. And it was interesting. It was like very hard to be in rooms with children just crying bloody murder because they're getting like poked with needles, and then all of a sudden like rushing to get in my car and then go to like a pharmaceutical facility, and it almost looked like the movie Contagion because they're all in like these like hazmat suits in a controlled room with like amber lights, messing with like chemistry and stuff. So it's like you're going from like to just like getting in the car and just saying, "Whoa, cool! Look at all this like science that I don't understand."
That's fascinating.
That's a couple that I can think of. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the attendees wrote in the chat, I'm interested in the way that you describe the project of presence project. My question is, how has your practice of observing and photographing strangers on the beach impacted your other photography and journalism work?
Yeah. Hi, Lindsay Joe. Thanks for joining. I know her. Um, so how has that impacted my photojournalism work? I think my photojournalism work, I think it's the opposite. I think my photojournalism work impacted um, my beach and public photographing work, because it's specifically like you don't know the environment you're entering, and this is like the same for both of them. You don't know the environment you're really entering per se. Like you don't know what to expect. With like photojournalism, I've never met these people before that I'm photographing. I've never been in these spaces, and even though I've been in, to Edgewater Beach multiple times, countless times, it's still being filled with like people that I have never encountered there. So it's like a new element. So I think with photojournalism informing the beach work, it's just kind of being able to think quickly on your feet, being able to like recognize quickly like what's gonna like translate as a good photo or an interesting photo, or what's worth taking, what's not worth taking. But I think like once you are in an environment where it's like so many unknowns, and then you come out with something that you're proud of at the end of it, I think that just like gives you confidence to, or at least me, to continue going to the beach. Like I wouldn't go doing that if I didn't think that I could get something that I really like loved out of it. So I think it's just kind of like it impacts like my confidence really, even though I have to continually like remind myself, or fight the anxiety of like fear and I don't know, nervousness for photographing either situation, because I really don't sleep very well the night before my journalism work, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's like high stakes more, and I don't want to upset the person hiring me, where with the beach stuff, it's like I'm the one giving myself like those assignments. So it's like if I screw up, like I just have to like I don't have anyone to like go to higher up. It's because I just look in the mirror and just say like, oh, I sucked that day.
I had another.
If
Go ahead.
Another second. Hi.
Who goes there?
It's me. It's Shelly.
Hey, Shelly.
So first off, I like that you mentioned the like winning ratio in terms of overcoming fear. I thought that was really significant. I feel like I've been trying to like look at my life more in that way, to where it's like I don't have to be perfect all the time, but I need to be constantly like, this is a winning ratio. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess my question is though, do you think this project specifically encompasses Edgewater? Like, do you want to keep it location specific to Edgewater, or would you expand to like other beaches in Northeast Ohio, or do you want to expand it like outside of Ohio? Where do you view like the location? Is it specific to Edgewater, or are you open to like going other places with it?
Yeah, I'm open going to other places with it, but I think as far as like Cleveland, I feel like Edgewater has everything that I'm looking for in one place. And usually, I guess that is like diversity, because if I go out west, to like Huntington Beach in Westlake, or even further to whatever beaches in like Avon, it loses that diversity. And then if I go east, I feel like it leans to like diversity in like another way, where it's like more, like Black population. So I think it's like a good melting pot with like Edgewater, and that's why I think it's like probably like the perfect place. But I guess unknowingly, but like when I used to live in New York, I guess I kind of like conveniently left that out of my presentation. But I did take a lot of photos at Coney Island when I was living there, and a lot of photos that I really enjoyed and liked. So I, pertaining to the Wave series for the Shaker Historical Society, that was like kind of like largely about like the Black and Brown like stories and themes that like popped up in my beach work locally. But yeah, with like the Coney Island stuff, I think whenever I come out with like the larger series that I'm working on, I think some of the Coney Island stuff is gonna like make their way into it. And then, you know, if I find myself in another beach, I'm sure I will have a camera with me to try and photograph it. But I'm not really like a tropical beach like vacation type person. I'm more of kind of like a nature type person. So I'd be in like the woods, but I'm open to it. So Edgewater doesn't necessarily have to be the only location. And I think I'm still trying to decide if it's gonna be like beach only. Like I like those photos that, you know, I took at those museum events and stuff too. So I don't know. I have time. It's not really gonna be a thing or like another gallery in like the larger project for a while. So I've got like this year and maybe next year to continue working on it and figuring that out. So thank you, caller, for your question.
Yes, thank you. So it is 7 o'clock, so we're going to wrap up. But Daniel, real quick, do you want to let people know like where they can find your work online, on Instagram, etc.?
Oh yeah. Let's see, I'll go all the way back here. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, my first name dot last name, and then my website, daniellozada.net. I probably update my Instagram with more current work than anything. Haven't been that good with updating my website, but it's one of my goals this year.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.